This is Reviewer Magazine. We're here with Brian DeFabio of dfab Studios in South Park in San Diego, and he is a member of the music community here in San Diego now, formerly of Boston.
Yes.
And he is offering his studio services to everybody in San Diego that is in the indie rock scene and singer-songwriter and hip-hop community. And he is, in fact, himself a DJ. Tell us a little bit about some of your equipment here. Can this get a party going? Is this all you need right now for doing a party?
Well, if I was to do a party, it would be enough for a party in here. But I would probably use a bigger sound system. This is basically my practice system. So it's a standard, just Yamaha monitor, 10-inch driver with a tweeter. So it's not too bassy, or it can get pretty loud, but it's mostly just my practice setup.
And these are your records right here? This is your vinyl collection? Is this the whole thing?
There's some under there too, but yeah, these are the records I play mostly. These ones right here, and then this is actually the newest set I'm working on. So I'm actually putting together a DJ mix right now.
What do you like? What are you working with right now? What do you have?
I'm a drum and bass DJ.
Okay.
So it's very heavy bass and fast drums.
Okay.
So it's about 30 records. I'm going to try to go through about more like 25 actually. 25 records in about 45 minutes to an hour.
That's how long it would take for you to cherry pick 30 records?
Right, or just mix them all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And show us the area over here behind us that you work with bands at. This is what you would use, you were saying, for a drum kit. You'd put a drum kit in here and you'd record the drums in this little kind of area right here with the soundboards.
Right, I mean this is actually part of a sound booth, so I could actually construct a full sound, isolate the drums altogether to take away maybe some of the room ambience if I wanted a tighter drum sound. But most times I leave it open. Just keep this as the backdrop right here.
Okay.
I've got the room. I've got soundboards set up all around the walls to cut down the echo.
Yeah, you did. Looks like you did a little bit of remodeling, customization here. How long did it take you to do everything?
This room took me actually only took me about 5 hours of one day to map everything out and figure out where I should put the sound panels.
Okay.
So I mean, typically all I would record here is drums mostly, and then if I wanted a more spacious acoustic guitar sound, I would record here as well.
Right on.
Here as well.
Okay, and you were showing me the studio a minute ago where the singer-songwriter booth was.
Yes.
I was pretty impressed. That looked pretty tight. Let's take a look at that and some of your equipment in this other room in here.
Absolutely.
This huge South Park garage zone back here. That's the great thing about this part of San Diego. There's so many nice custom homes that were built back in the early 20th century.
Right, this house is 1904, so it's a very old house. I actually had to do the electricity in this room. There were no grounds, so I had to throw in the grounds and eliminate the hum that would come from some of the equipment. So
you're an electrician too?
Well, I had an electrician, actually. I shouldn't say I did it, but I noticed that the grounds weren't there and had someone come in and do that for me.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, this is some good-looking equipment here. Tell us about what you have. Why don't we start on this side?
Okay. This is actually a Mackie board I used to use a lot for inputs. Now I use it more for maybe an electric guitar input, but I use it also. These channels over here are used for headphone amps or a headphone amp mix to go out in there for either the acoustic guitar or the drummer.
Okay.
So I can customize their headphone mix out there.
And everything here is available to customers for $35 an hour.
$35 an hour.
And you supervise everything, obviously, and
yes.
And then you'll help mix, or you will do the mixing.
I'll do the mixing
after that.
Right, and then light mastering if they need light mastering, but not as if you were to go to a mastering house. I can just make it sound louder and a little bit wider with software plugins.
Okay.
So master main bus mastering.
Okay, and if there was somebody who had a hip hop song, you could probably get it done in about an hour. Or a singer-songwriter had one song they wanted to do, or a couple of songs, probably an hour and a half.
Depending on the recording, but typically yes, an hour and a half.
That's a very good deal for $35.
Yes.
An hour. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, this is basically just my production station. So I use this mostly for the stuff that I make. The drum and bass album I'm working on, drum and bass / dubstep album I'm working on. I'll also use this to make beats for hip hop artists if they ever wanted a beat, or even singer-songwriters. I could I could construct a beat here for them if they wanted something besides just a guitar or whatever instrument they happen to play.
How does all this compare to Pro Tools? Like in the home recording revolution, the last 5 or 10 years or whatever,
Right.
Pro Tools seems like a lot of people have. You surpass the level of that equipment or that application?
I find, I mean, the sound quality that I get as opposed to a Pro Tools system is pretty close. Pro Tools has 2 different systems, LE and HD systems. I have something that is probably not as high-end as some of the HD systems, but it's better than most of the LE systems. I use a program called Mo2 Digital Performer, and I use it with their PCI interfaces.
Okay. Tell us about some of the stuff over here.
Sure. Well, this is mostly just an effects rack. So down here, I use this a lot for acoustic recordings because it sounds great. The Universal Audio 710s, I have a pair of them. I use this if I ever want maybe a little bit more crunchy sound. It's a same thing, a mic preamp, but you can tend to be able to get that natural distortion a little bit with this one. This is just a compressor that I'll use post recording. And this is kind of an old preamp I have. It's a Bluetooth from Presonus. Every now and then I'll use that. It doesn't tend to have as nice a sound as these ones right here, though.
Can you make stuff sound like really analog and pre-computer?
There's
that whole analog fad that people like to sound, you know.
Right. Let me actually pull up something on the computer. I don't know if you can capture the monitor.
Yeah, I got pretty good sound with this.
I'm a digital studio, so I don't have any real vintage analog gear, but what I can do for a lot of...
No transistor tubes?
What's that again?
No tube recording?
No tubes, no. There's a program. I use a lot of plugins. I have a pretty big collection of plugins.
Mind if I catch your screen there?
Sure.
Okay.
And one of the plugins that I can use that just came out recently is this. Basically, it's an emulation of a 2-inch tape machine.
Neat.
And it's the closest I've found that you can get through the when you're mixing in the box. That comes to recording on actual 2-inch. So it gives you that kind of that analog sound that you might be looking for.
Yeah.
Without actually having the old Studer 2-inch machines.
It doesn't quite. Can it go as far as like sounding like it was recorded on a Sony Walkman or on someone's answering machine or something?
Well, you can get that through EQ actually. This will just kind of capture that analog warmth that you get from those old 2-inch machines.
Okay, and I mean, I can see the video image of the tape reels moving.
Right.
Are we waiting for a track to come up?
No, that's just the plugin's interface. It constantly turns. I mean, it doesn't really change. Sometimes you can change, like, it will stop if you select input, but most of the time you're syncing it.
Okay. And this right here, this microphone right here, is this for speaking to the people that are recording, or is this for throwing tracks on the voice on the tracks?
That's a talkback mic, so I use it. I hit that button, and that mic will go through the headphone mixes that I have.
Got it. Okay. Cool. And then over here you've got the vocal booth.
Right. So I mean, in here, this is my vocal isolation booth. A lot of times I'll record. This is where I record all my vocals primarily. Acoustic guitar, if I want that tight acoustic guitar sound, as opposed to out in the garage. That's the main vocal mic I use. It's a Mojave MA200.
Huh.
I have a headphone box right there. I'll record most of the guitar amps in here too. Guitar amps or bass amps.
Wow.
And this comes with a ventilation system.
Sounds so muffled.
Suffocates while they're in here.
Yeah, no, the smell of the acoustic tiles or the acoustic doesn't like overwhelm you. It smells good though, as a matter of fact. Kind of like it.
Most people actually say
smells like a
it
new
smells
car.
good. Yeah, it's like a new car smell. It hasn't gone away. I've had it for a while too.
Right on. How long have you had this set up, Brian?
I've had my studio set up in here, not to this extent, but I've been here for about 6-7 years. So I've been occupying this space for approximately that long.
Okay. And some of the people that you work with, you were saying one name is Chad Kavanaugh.
Chad Kavanaugh.
And he's a local singer-songwriter.
Yes.
And then you're going to be having a get-together later this month, and some of the people that are there that are also your clients or that are people that you work with. One is Heather Green,
Right.
Shannon St. John, and then there's a band called Jaws Went Swimming, which is alt rock, and it's a four-piece.
Right.
Can you tell us about all those performers?
Sure. Shannon St. John, she's now in a band called Primitive Noise, which is quite different than her solo stuff. When she was in here, I just recorded her acoustic guitar and her vocals, and I added keyboards and bass to her stuff.
All of this.
Correct. And then with Chad Kavanaugh, I already released an album with him earlier last year. I did all the beats for his. He recorded guitar, vocals, and I added everything else, besides one or two tracks that had the cajon on them.
Now, how experienced were these people? Were these like kids that just had never done any recording before, and you pretty much had to like walk them through it? I mean,
Chad Kavanaugh, he had recorded one album before he recorded with me, so he was pretty used to recording in the studio.
Okay.
And all of them were great to work with. Jaws Went Swimming, the lead singer, is my former bandmate, so he had recorded 2 albums with me when we were in a band together.
But I can see how that would be that would be tough sometimes if somebody is like a real novitiate at recording and they want to get something out there and stuff, and even though they're paying you, you've got all this expensive equipment, for someone not to know what they're doing must be kind of tough. Do you feel comfortable working with people who are total novitiates or need a lot of teaching?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't mind that?
I try to make it as comfortable as possible, because the last thing I want to do to someone that comes in here is make them feel intimidated or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because the whole purpose of recording is to make it, is to come up with the best take of the song possible. And
creative people are following their dream,
Right, and that's essentially why for now I decided to keep it in my garage where it is right now, where I've kind of redone everything as opposed to moving out. So that live room is a comfortable live room, and in here it's fairly comfortable, and I just try to keep everything as relaxed as possible.
Cool. And you're doing a lot of marketing right now. You're promoting like a good entrepreneur should, and you've got a party coming up this month. Do you want to talk about that and maybe put an invitation out there?
Absolutely.
For that? Okay.
Yeah, May 22nd at the Wine Lover. It's a very comfortable wine bar. It's a little bit small, but
it's on Fifth.
It is on Fifth. It's across from the parking lot, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So that the parking lot across from the 24-hour fitness there.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to.
Oh, right. Okay, I know where that is.
It's kind of.
I do know where that is. It's right by where they used to have that American diner place.
Right
by the big
diner.
The Shepherd Ferry Obey mural.
Right.
Around the corner from that. Not around the corner, but about a couple of addresses down. Cool. And that'll be May 22nd.
Yes.
And that'll have live entertainment.
Yes.
Chad Kavanaugh and then the Shannon and
Heather.
And Heather will be there. Shannon Green, or Heather Green and Shannon St. John.
Yes, and then Jaws Went Swimming.
We'll also play. That's a lot of talent. That's gonna be a lot of music for one night in a little place like that.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it will be a acoustic performance by Jaws Went Swimming. So they won't be there with their normal setup. It will be all acoustic for them while they're there.
Cool. And a little bit about the Wine Lover. That is a wine connoisseur restaurant or bar, and they only serve wine.
I believe they serve Stone Brewery too.
Nice.
I believe.
Arrogant bastard.
Right. I believe
Good
that's
beer.
what they do. Serve beer there too.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. What time should people show up?
The show actually starts early. It's on a Sunday, so it starts at 6 and goes until about 9 or 9:30, I believe.
Nice.
So it'll be an early evening event. Nick Z, who's an artist who's also recorded here, is hosting it.
Well, that's a really cool event. That sounds like a really good thing to do for the music community. Not only is it a good time, but it sounds like a good marketing strategy to get people out there and kind of mingling at a cool place like that. I'm all about, at Reviewer Magazine, we're all about the craft brewing community in San Diego, and fine wine is part of that too, as far as I'm concerned. But you're also doing some marketing with a coupon that you have going on?
Oh yes. What we're working on right now, with waiting to hear back from Wine Lover, we're hoping to do something like this, is if you buy a glass of wine at the Wine Lover, you'll get a 10% off coupon recording of any length at my studio. So
awesome.
I'll have those coupons. We'll work something out where those coupons will be distributed that night.
Okay, well thank you, Brian. So what's your website again?
It is dfab studios, dfab studios.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.